Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. And you know, don't matter how long I've got to get ready, I'm always a bit late these days. I don't know, things happen just as I'm about to go, live. Well, I haven't even done my hair or anything. I had a long nap, not been awake that long. So that's a bad idea, isn't it? This time of night to have a nap. I'm never going to sleep later. That'll mean that I'll oversleep in the morning, and all the things that I want to do in the morning, I won't get done. The morning's my productive time. I'm just not good in the evenings or the afternoons, you know. So anyway, there you go. So yeah, I don't know. I literally just put my hair up because it was getting on my nerves before I had a nap, and I haven't done anything with it. But anyway, there you go. This is me. So how are we all? Hope you've all had a good Saturday. Want to thank everyone for liking, subscribing. I've got this new membership now. I'm going to be doing lives on a Tuesday night. Somebody's already upgraded. Thank you so much, Ellie UK, who upgraded their membership to a Carry On Chatting membership. And the reason that I've done that is because I have set up a Patreon page, but don't know if any, because I know I've got some creators on there. I don't know if anybody's ever tried to do it, but it's very complicated. And I just thought, oh God, maybe I'd just be better off just doing another membership, because I want to put some special videos on there, do extra members lives, etc. So that's what I've done. Now, whether I ever get the Patreon page sorted out, I just don't know. Just time, isn't it? And getting around to it. But anyway, so thank you, Ellie. And I've got to think of a new membership song. A new cult song for the new for the Carry On Chatting membership. But anyway, thank you so much. So yeah, and thank you to all my Let's Chat members. Thank you to anyone who supported my channel in any way. I've just had some lovely emails recently as well, so thank you so much for those people that are just saying nice things, and people that bought my Confessions of a Spanish Teacher book, etc. Thank you so much to everybody. Now, of course, I'll still be doing all my normal lives and things. It's just that Tuesday and Thursday now will be special members' lives. But thank you so much. I'm trying to get the banner off now. I'm not very good when I've just woke up. I've just had a coffee, so that's another bad idea, because I'm definitely not going to sleep tonight, am I? So good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, or good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. Here in Spain, it is 13 minutes past 10. So it's it's night time. It's cooled down a little bit. It's been warm today. Did get a bit of sun. I'm still working on my tan a little bit. Just an hour each day, because it's too. You've got to be careful with your skin and everything, and it's too hot to spend much more than an hour, to be honest. Okay, let me say hello to. Oh, right. See, I don't even know what I'm doing. That's because I've only had one coffee. Oh my God, is my candle gone funny? So what we're going to be talking about tonight is Sebastian Rogers. Now, we haven't talked about Sebastian just for a little while, a few days or so, because, it's just gone weird, that case, hasn't it? I mean, not Sebastian, obviously. I mean, we hope that one day Sebastian will be found safe and well. And this candle, the candles tonight is specifically for him. I might have to get another candle, because I think the wick's gone on here. Yeah. Oh no, there you go. It's lit. Just don't know if you can see. It's literally just lit. Anyway, I'm going to have to get another one. Gosh, so what's happened now is for just to refresh the memory of anybody. Or to let someone know for the first time if they don't know, Sebastian Rogers He's a 15-year-old autistic boy. And we've been following this case since he disappeared. He literally disappeared into thin air. How many times, do we know that? He was living with his mum, his biological mum, and his stepdad. So his mum, Katie Proudfoot, and his stepdad, Chris Proudfoot. Chris was working away at the time. I think he's a crane driver, and Sebastian was with his mum, Katie. And on the Sunday, they went for a family day out, supposedly, went for something to eat, went bowling, I think, or went somewhere. And then Katie says the next morning when she went to get him up for school, he'd gone, disappeared, was not there, was not in his room. And since then, there's been nothing, no sightings of him. No, there's been a false sighting of him, but nothing, not a clue. And the police, this is in Tennessee, in America. So the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation have searched for him. They've searched a landfill, which is a bit ominous, isn't it? But nothing, not found a trace of him. And he supposedly left the house, no shoes on. Don't know if he had socks on or not, but he certainly had no shoes on, just with a torchlight, a torch, and that's it. So where is he? Where has he gone? Just he had clothes on. He was wearing clothes, and he just disappeared, according to Katie. So she says that the night before, she was on the phone for 3 hours to her partner, Chris, who was working away. She heard a thud upstairs not upstairs. I don't think he's, the house is on 2 levels. I think it's all on 1 level. Might be upstairs. But anyway, she heard a thud from his room. She shouted to him, something along the lines of, whatever you're doing in there, stop it and just go to bed, or something like that. She didn't go in and check on him, according to her. And then the very next morning, when she went to wake him up from school, he'd vanished into thin air. So this is the case. So it's, it's odd, isn't it? But nobody's been arrested as a suspect by the police. We have to remember that. There's been a lot of aspersions cast on Katie, as there will be on the parent and also the last person to see him. A lot of aspersions cast on Chris, her partner, because then things came out that there had been some issues with child protection services, that Chris had used a belt on Sebastian. Things like, there's been a few things that have come out. Then, just as, that was happening, enter the biological father, Seth Rogers. He sort of didn't hear anything from Seth for the first week. And then he suddenly popped up on all these YouTube channels, just loads. He was on channels like Nancy Grace and News Nation, Court TV, etc. But also loads of other YouTube channels. He would just sort of pop up in the chat, and then he would be interviewed, or, it was like he couldn't stay off YouTube, really, at one point, wasn't it? So then it became like a bit of a battle between, he started then disclosing things about Sebastian, not very nice things, like to me. I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. Seth didn't ring, there's always been something about Seth for me. Not that I think he did anything to Sebastian. I don't think that. I don't think he may have kidnapped him, but I'm not saying that. It always just struck me wrong, the things he was saying, because he said that Sebastian had been abused by a young boy that Katie had brought into the household, that he'd actually been RAPD'd, I think. And various things that Seth disclosed about Sebastian were just uncomfortable. I think, I'm not even going to go into repeating them here because I just thought it's so unfair on Sebastian. And if he was somewhere watching that, you're not going to come back knowing that the whole world knows all these private secrets, and what's happened to him and what maybe he's done as well, because there was insinuations almost that he was some sort of sex pest, and that he did this. All these disclosures came from his father. So I always found that really uncomfortable. Anyway, and he started sort of almost making allegations, really, that he thought that Katie and Chris had something to do with it, and it turned into like a bun fight, didn't it? Really, on social media, and then Chris Proudfoot getting angry. He was another one who appears on YouTube channels, gets a bit angry. It just got a bit ridiculous. So now what's happened is, Seth has had various PR people, and private investigators that he's employed, I suppose. I mean, through he did have a GoFundMe set up, though he says that that's stalled now. I don't know what money he's received from people. He had cash apps, etc. Going. He's been on so many YouTube channels who have plugged his cash apps, and he must have had quite a lot of donations, I would imagine. Anyway, then he took on Phony Tony, didn't he? Tony Mathis. And this is where everything's gone even more batshit crazy than it was before. P.S. In the meantime, Sebastian, hello, Sebastian's still missing. Like, all this wrangling going on. And now what's happened is Seth has, and his mother, Robin Rogers, have sent out these cease and desist letters to the very YouTubers that in the beginning they were using to platform, talking about Sebastian, etc. That's what we're talking about tonight. So it's quite a lot to, I've got quite a lot to show you. So I'm going to just say hello to everyone before I start. Absolutely couldn't make this up. I don't know. Hi, Chumba. Hi, Rio. F1. Oh, so Rio might be watching the F1. Oh, sorry, Rio. We're not interested enough here. Hi, Neil. Yeah, I did know that. I've put a link to the video I did about that the other day. Hi, David. Hi, Nick. Hope you're well. Hope your little kittens are okay. Hi, Charlotte. Hi, Heather. Hi, Simon. Oh, hi, Blank Faces Live. Is that a new account for you? Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I was late. I was trying to get on Twitter, Blank Faces. Something always goes wrong. I was trying to get on Twitter to get the information about this cease and desist letter. And Twitter was acting up. It's always something acting up. Hi, Caroline. Good morning. Chumba's tired. Bless. 5:30 a.m. in Australia. Hi, Charlie. Oh, don't say that. I could just do a gin and tonic right now. Charlie's rehydrating with a large gin fizz. You've been on the beach all afternoon. Yeah, it's been warm today. Hi, Jean. Hi, Lady Dog Lover. Oh, God, everyone's shattered. Everyone's shattered. I hope you'll all stay awake for the end of this live. I'm going to be up all night now because I've just woke up. I'm sure yakety yak. I haven't got any wine, Charlie. I've only got aqua today. I'm going to have some aqua now, actually, in a minute. Yeah. Oh, look, everyone's having a bloody drinky poo. Except me. Snake bites. God, yeah, I remember snake bites when I was younger. I need to have a bit of water. Hi, Sarah. Sorry, just need a drink of water now. We're talking about drinking. All I've got is agua. You've got to rehydrate in this weather. Oh, there's Princess. Hey, come here. You come and say hello. Just hello. They've got a little glimpse of Princess Tia there. Hope she doesn't start barking. Hi, Maggie. Hi, Laurie. Maggie's got a vino as well. Oh, I don't know. I think it's only me. I haven't got one. Rio's on coffee. Coffee's not good at this time of night, though. I've just had a coffee, but probably... what did I say? Don't start barking. Okay, so let's have a look. What's going on with this cease and desist? Why has he done it? Why has Seth done this? Why, after spending, so much time himself on YouTube and talking about Sebastian, all these YouTube channels. I just want to show a picture of Sebastian. So this is Sebastian. Where are you, Sebastian? That's the thing. Where is this boy? He's 15 years old. So he's high functioning autistic, apparently. So he probably could sort of survive on his own, but not in his socks really, and he's not taking anything with him. What has happened to him? Personally, I think he may have run away and something may have happened to him. Either that or he is someone's hiding in somewhere. So I think when we think of Sebastian, we think of a young kid, but he's not. He's 15 at the end of the day, 15 years old. I think that's a more representative picture of him there than some of the other pictures we've seen of him that make him look like he's so much younger. He's 15 years old, and he's just coming into being a man. He's a teenager, and teenagers do things like run away, and of course, from what we've heard about all the shenanigans going on, both not only with Chris and Katie, but the shenanigans going on with Seth. Maybe he's run off just because he just couldn't cope with it anymore. And he was supposed to be going to live at Seth's, which at first, because we're going to watch a video from a while ago where Seth is talking to Vinnie Politan, and you can see that Seth made it, it felt like he wanted to go and live with Seth. But of course, we found out since he didn't want to go and live with Seth because it meant he had to go on online schooling. And he didn't want to do that. So, he wasn't, did he run away because he wasn't happy with whatever plans the family had for him? Did he run away for that reason? But why did he not have his shoes on? Or did he just pop out and meaning to come back and then something happened to him? Anyway, the police are very tight-lipped about it all, because as usual, they've probably got evidence we don't know about, and they're very tight-lipped about it. And apparently the police are not speaking to Seth, are they? So now Seth has come out with all this cease and desist to all the YouTubers. I'm going to show you a little tweet from T-Rev. T-Rev was a YouTuber that was, Seth was often on his channel. So he says, I did receive a cease and desist order from Seth Rogers' lawyer to stop covering the case of Sebastian Rogers. Turns out you can't misuse the legal system. to send unwarranted threats and intimidate individuals discussing a missing child's case on the internet. Freedom of speech. You have the right to express your views and discuss public cases. This includes talking about cases like that of Sebastian Rogers. They want everyone, silence us all. And also, how can you send someone a cease and desist talking about privacy when you're on fake accounts, pretending to be the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation under the same name as your email, allegedly? Sebastian Rogers deserves a voice no matter what, trying to silence over 50 major platforms. 50. So I know that JLR had received a cease and desist, but his came from Robin Rogers, I think, from Seth's mum. Who else has had one? There's another guy called Trev that I always get mixed up with T-Rev. Again, someone who was helping Seth in the beginning, and now, you know, Seth's fallen out with him. Seth's fallen out with a lot of people. Seth's private investigator, Chloe, who she when Tony started working with Sebastian, Tony seemed to get rid of everybody else and isolate Seth from everyone. She's had one, apparently, a cease and desist. Anyway, so trying to silence over 50 major platforms from pushing this case to a broader audience does not make sense. Imagine not wanting to find Sebastian and bring him home. Our goal is to raise awareness and seek justice for Sebastian. It's crucial that we continue to spread the word and keep the conversation alive. So that was his tweet. Let's have a look at, see if we can find out what JLR said about it. Hang on. No. Oh. Let's have a look. Prison warden arrested. Oh, so he's going to do an educational video all about cease and desist letters. Well, we're going to look at what is a cease and desist letter. Is it legally, viable? But anyway, so JLR, when I watched his video earlier, he was incandescent. I mean, I don't know if you watched it, but his voice was getting higher and higher all the time. He's really annoyed about it. So he's saying, we're doing an educational video all about cease and desist letters since evidently Seth Rogers and his attorney know nothing about the First Amendment. Abusing the legal system to threaten and intimidate people is a serious offence. The recipients could possibly sue Seth. Well, JLR knows about suing because he has, that's something he's done. He's sued a lot of people. So there you go. And people have commented on it. Abusing the legal system to threaten and intimidate people is a serious offence. See, I don't see how can you tell people to cease and desist when, like everybody says, this is a public case, someone who's gone missing. I'm sure you can tell people, depends what they're saying about you, I suppose. I don't know. And of course, there's plenty of other YouTube channels saying the same thing. Many YouTube channels, that I don't know very well, talking about that, Seth can't do this, but he's done it, or his lawyer's done it. What will be the result of it? Can you, and why? I mean, to me, the most important thing is, why has Seth done this? Is it because now the narrative it has turned against him? Now, you know, right from the beginning, I've felt comfortable about Seth. And I honestly have not, don't think anything, you know, Chris and Katie have had absolutely seemed like they were totally vilified right from day one, when we don't know what happened to Sebastian. So I've always tried to sort of stay away from that. And I've always felt uncomfortable just with the way that Seth talked about Sebastian. But, and also the way he talked about Chris and Katie. And to me, it's evident that Seth is still obsessed with Katie, still in love with Katie. And it's almost like, and sometimes I felt like Seth maybe had been, you know, I know he says he's on medication, but I felt quite often it's more than medication, maybe drinking or, you know, something more, or maybe it's a combination. You know, the thing is, if you're on meds, you know, you only probably need a couple of beers and that's it. You're sort of away with the fairies. And I went, you know, to me, the PR people that Seth's had, the first thing they should have done is tried to get him off YouTube completely. And maybe Seth, maybe they have, and Seth's been resistant to that. But this latest one, they call him Tic Tac. It's probably more like it, Tic Tac Tony. They call him TikTok Tony because he keeps going on TikTok and doing live streams. And then once your live stream's finished on TikTok, that's it, unless somebody actually records it live. That's the end of that. You know, it's gone. You can't replay it like you can on YouTube. You know, he's a very sinister man, I think. I don't think he's had a good effect on Seth. And yeah, why have they done this? Because surely he, you know, initially wanted Sebastian to be talked about. Of course you do. You want this, you know. Unfortunately, Sebastian is just one of many people that go missing, and he's one of many probably that have gone missing in, you know, in that area. And so you would want as much publicity as possible to keep your child's name in the public eye, wouldn't you? You'd want everybody looking out for them. So yeah, this is all very odd, I think. So I wonder if Justin on TikTok has got one, because then there was Pascal. These are the bigger YouTube channels, etc., TikTok channels that Seth has been on. So I wonder if Nancy Grace has had one. You know, he was on Nancy Grace. He's been on everywhere. He took the lie detector test. He's done. You know, he's been all over social media, and now no, cease and desist, everyone. Odd. I'm just going to come back to the chat, so I just want to see what you all make of it. What are people's ideas on it? Hi, Gillian. Yeah, there's definitely more. Hi, Ocean. Yeah, he's had so many helpers come in and out. What is behind it? Hi, Pauline. What is behind all this? Hi, Simon. I might have said hello to Simon already. I don't know. Baby Sham. Are we talking about Baby Sham? I used to drink that when I was about 19. I don't know if they even still do it now. They used to call me and my friends the Baby Sham Brigade because we used to leave a load of Baby Sham bottles behind us at the pub. You know, when we left, there'd be about 20 Baby Sham bottles. Anyway, hi, Daniel. Yeah, Charlie, I'm sure you can imagine Nancy Grace if she got a cease and desist letter. She'd be going mad, wouldn't she? Okay, there was another, Red Rum Media. I want to have a look at them. So I think, I thought they put Red Rum. Anyway, I thought I could find an actual copy of the cease and desist letter that's gone out. But anyway, it doesn't matter. So what we're going to look at now is just what is a cease and desist letter. I thought I had that anyway. Because I've heard it being talked about, I suppose, you know, Sebastian Rogers. Oh, I don't. There's another YouTube channel. Let's have a look at this one. Hang on. There's one called Dolly Vision. There's lots of these. I'm presuming it's the American YouTube channels that have received these letters. Oh, here's a copy. Right, that's what I was looking for. So this guy on Twitter, Steve Fisher, SF Investigates. In fact, I might start following him because here's a copy of one of the cease and desist letters that Seth Rogers is sending out through an unethical lawyer, Tara Carter, who can't cite any authority to back her outrageous demands. This woman should be sanctioned. A missing persons case is a public outreach for help from law enforcement. Well, see, this is the other thing. The law enforcement have put out an Amber Alert over Sebastian Rogers. So how can Seth then tell people to cease and desist when the actual Tennessee Bureau of Investigation themselves, they're appealing for help and, you know, for information about Sebastian and people to talk about it within reason. I mean, you know, there has been some bad press about Seth lately. This is what it feels to me. It's now that it's all turned against Seth a bit. He was all over the media, wasn't he? And now that has sort of like shifted the sympathy towards Seth has shifted a little bit. And the other thing that people are saying, which I don't know if it's true, but certainly JLR was saying that, is it true that apparently now Tony has said that Seth will only do an interview if he's paid up front beforehand to do an interview? Whereas before he was just going willy-nilly on all these YouTube channels, etc. Is he now saying he'll go on them as long as he gets paid up front? It all seems a bit weird, doesn't it? You know, like, you don't cash in. Is he trying, you know, when he had the GoFundMe and he was raising money for leaflets and, I don't know, T-shirts and armbands, and they're doing the vigil, you know, yes, you can see why they would. You can see why they would. Right, that's it. You can see why they would need money for that, you know, to buy the T-shirts and stuff. But to be paid for actually making an appearance on a YouTube channel or any kind of interview, that just seems a bit McCann-like, doesn't it? Seems a bit Madeleine McCann. The McCanns did things like that, you know. It just feels all wrong, doesn't it? So to this day, he says, this guy, Steve Fisher, TBI, or the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, is still asking the public to share Sebastian Rogers' name and photo. Seth Rogers isn't even the primary residential parent, but he's making these decisions. Is this with the permission of Katie Proudfoot? I'm certain it's not. And that's something interesting as well. Although the Proudfoots have been reviled on every, you know, some YouTube channels have even been out there saying, oh, you know, oh, definitely got something to do, that Katie's definitely done this and Katie's definitely done that. And, you know, I don't like that, because nobody knows for sure that Katie has done something or not. Maybe she has, but wait till you got some evidence. They haven't taken out cease and desist. they've had their names dragged through the mud, mostly by Seth, to be honest, but by loads of people, and they haven't taken out a cease and desist. Very odd. Anyway, this guy says, in my opinion, Seth Rogers is running a scam by begging for donations that he doesn't even use for the benefit of finding Sebastian Rogers. Everyone in Seth Rogers' group now seems firmly rooted in criminal behaviour. In my opinion, of course, he says. He's going to get a cease and desist letter, isn't he? My correct opinion, lawyer, spokesperson, and Seth himself. What an outrage, using your own son as a hustle. Is it any wonder Sebastian was scared and stressed out about the possibility of going to live with Seth? Seth, who was going to leave a 15-year-old autistic boy, whom Seth himself claims is not self-sufficient, home alone while he worked. Yeah, I mean, what was he going to do? Because he was supposed to be being homeschooled when he went to Seth's. So what was Seth going to do when he was at work? So poor Sebastian would never leave the house or interact with people, and Sebastian was fearful of that. And Seth, was there a physical incident with Sebastian about 2 weeks before he went missing? Care to discuss that? This is a disgrace. Oh, so this is something that's come out, isn't it? That there seems to have been some sort of incident. You know, they're both, you know, Seth's been accusing Chris Proudfoot of, threatening to reveal information about the child protection services, but turns out there's something against Seth as well, this incident. We don't know the details of it. Anyway, here's a copy. This is a copy of now 3 YouTubers that have been mailed a cease and desist letter, not to speak about Seth Rogers or Sebastian Rogers. Well, I thought she was saying there that Nancy Grace had received it, but I think she's just flagging them in. See, let's see. So, notice to cease and desist. This is from the law office of Tara Carter. Now, this says, Dear Miss Smith, this is Cluminati, I think, that this particular one was sent to. And it's in I presume that's her real name, Miss Smith. Please be advised that I represent Mr. Seth Rogers. Please let this letter serve as formal notice to cease and desist any and all activity of dissemination of information pertaining to Sebastian Rogers and or Seth Rogers, specifically any and all information surrounding the disappearance and efforts to locate Sebastian Rogers. My client has been informed you're engaging in such behaviour without his express written or oral consent. If you have obtained any documents, recordings, or other information pertaining to the disappearance and or efforts to locate Sebastian Rogers, you have obtained such information without the consent of Seth Rogers. Well, you know, some of these, when you put something, when you're out on YouTube, being interviewed by YouTubers, that is not necessarily you don't own that. You're going out there publicly. You don't own that content. If anybody owns it, the YouTuber owns it, and then it's always can be used for fair use. So what's he saying? That every YouTuber that's ever done a video about Sebastian Rogers or about Seth, even though it was videos that Seth wanted to do, they've all got to take them down, and it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You do not have consent or authority from Seth Rogers. And he is not the custodial parent. Maybe Katie would want these things to still be out there and for Sebastian to be found. Really, Seth does not have the authority to say that, I think. Anyway, you do not have consent or authority from Seth Rogers to use his or Sebastian Rogers' name, likeness, or any information acquired by you or your agents. So that means you can't even show his photo. I'll probably get one now, cease and desist. But, you know what? Whatever. Please note that all activities regarding the dissemination of said information will be reported to the proper authorities if required by law. Continued activities as previously stated will result in Mr. Rogers exploring any and all legal remedies to which he is entitled. There you go. So that's the notice to cease and desist that's gone out to everyone, and all the YouTubers have been talking about it. I would imagine that what will happen, the ones that have received it as well would get together. And, I wouldn't take JLR on in court of law because he knows, he's got experience in that. And it's just, you can't. Anyway, it does seem like, how could you? When you're the one who's been promoting it, you're the one who's been encouraging the coverage, and then just suddenly when it all starts going wrong, you can't do it. Just reminds me of the McCanns. Do you remember that with them? They did that. It was like when Madeleine first went missing, they stayed in Portugal, didn't they? And stayed at the resorts, remained there, and they were going jogging every day and taking everyone's sympathy and this, that and the other. And then when they were made arguidos, they were made suspects, they couldn't get out of there quick enough, could they? And then suddenly they were, no one can talk about it, and they're still putting a block on everything. I recently did that video about Madeleine McCann, and it was demonetized. And your appeal again, don't know what but your video gets demonetized because an issue comes up in it, like something will have flagged up, and you appeal against it or you ask for a review. But it was confirmed by the review, and there was nothing in that video that was against YouTube's policies. There was no graphic details. There was just nothing. And I probably anytime you do a video on Madeleine McCann, it's like flags up in YouTube land here. YouTube land. It's like, God, you can't have the McCanns suing us because they just sue everybody, don't they? And we heard on that video, what's her name? Pat Brown, who she wrote a book about the McCanns, and the McCanns sued Amazon and had it taken off Amazon. This is what this reminds me of. It's not a good look because it's like, why? Why are you now saying you can't talk, no one can talk about Sebastian when, initially you were the one talking about it. So, hi, Jackie. So very odd. Very odd. Hi, True Crime No Bodies. Hi. Yeah, Cluminati was nasty about Seth, and she was more on Chris and Katie's side, because Chris went on there, didn't she, talking. She was nasty about him. But the thing is, but JLR wasn't. Not in the beginning. Not in the beginning he wasn't. He has turned against Seth. He had turned against Seth. So maybe that's why. I don't know. So I don't know where Pascal comes into it and the others. But I don't know. Very odd. Anyway, so let's have a look. What is a cease and desist? you know, what power does it have? I wonder. That's what I'm going to look at now. Let's see. So, a cease and desist letter is a cautionary letter sent to an alleged wrongdoer describing the alleged misconduct and demanding that the alleged misconduct be stopped. A cease and desist letter provides notice that legal action may and will be taken if the conduct in question continues. Such letters are usually written by attorneys and are often sent to stop alleged or actual infringement of intellectual property rights, such as copyrights, trademarks, and patents. I think I'll share this actually. A cease and desist letter may also be used to warn the wrongdoer against harassment, slander, libel, as well as contractual violations. Even though a cease and desist letter is a non-binding letter, does not have legal effect, it is primarily sent to the wrongdoer so that it may later be used as evidence in litigation against the wrongdoer if the alleged misconduct is not stopped. So that's what the Legal Information Institute from Cornell Law School says. It's like a warning shot, isn't it? That's what it is. A cease and desist letter is like a warning shot to someone. And, you know, you can see the value of it if somebody was defaming you or slandering you. You know, the thing is, in this world that we live in the social media world that we live in now, people are often saying horrible things, aren't they? You know, and some things you can just sort of, you know, like trolling, you just think, oh, you'll take so much of it, I suppose. But I suppose if someone just constantly trolls you and, you know, no, it just won't, just, you know, there's different there's different sort of ways of trolling people, isn't there? You know, and if you if somebody has a little go at you and what have you, that's one thing. But if someone actually sets up a campaign of saying things about you that aren't true and just trying to, you know, sometimes people develop an obsession, don't they, with somebody, you know, somebody famous or not even famous, you know, and they just carry on. And I suppose it gets to a point where people just, you know, can't take it anymore, or just, you know, won't take it anymore. And that's your first, you're shot across the bows, if you like. Your first port of call would be a cease and desist letter. And then if that person, whoever it is, did not stop defaming you or slandering you, I suppose then the thing is, nobody wants to take things to court because it costs money one way or another, doesn't it? If you lose the case, if you take someone to court for, I don't know, copyright, you know, because it's saying here it could be a copyright or something like that, a trademark or a patent. It doesn't have to be actual slander or libel. But nobody wants to take anyone to court because it costs money. And the only person who makes money out of that are the lawyers themselves. So what you try and do is you deliver your, you know, you deliver your sort of warning. It's a warning. It's a first warning. And then I suppose if people don't take any notice of it, you've got that as it goes towards the case that you're then preparing. You know, to take someone to court if they do not cease and desist. So I don't know what will happen. You know, what's the next step for these YouTubers that have received one? Are they going to just never mention Sebastian again? You know, that wouldn't be a good thing, would it? Because, you know, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, they've got an Amber Alert out. You know, he is a missing person. How can you not talk about him? It's really weird, isn't it? Because normally people want missing people to be talked about. You know, most families, they're going around saying, oh, you know, nobody's talking about our child and our child's gone missing and people have forgotten about them. Normally families want to keep their you know, families of missing children or adults want to keep them in the public eye. So it's a very odd thing to do. It's a very odd thing that Seth has done. I don't know what's behind it, whether it's just so that he can be the only person to talk about it. Maybe, you know, this is what some YouTubers are saying. You know, is this a way for him to be making money out of it by charging for interviews and stuff? Well, we'll see. We'll see if he does charge for interviews, won't we? But, you know, yeah. Yeah, it's a warning. It's a warning shot. That's what it is. So that's what the... So it'd be interesting to see what happens. What happens after this. So anyway, I thought what we'd do after looking at that is we would look, you know, go back to what's actually the issue here, and see now I haven't had a cease and desist letter, at least not yet. I might get one now. I might get one now. I want to go back and actually look at, you know, Sebastian. So I thought we'd look at this video when I find it. Yeah, that, sorry, I've just got a bit distracted there because when I was going along, I see that Jean has sent me this email from Michelle Oswald, which this was a response to a Freedom of Information request to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. But this was a while ago, Jean, and that Michelle Oswald, she replied to somebody's request for freedom of information. Let's see if I can share this. She responded, and she said, "Good afternoon. This is an open criminal investigation. We're unable to fulfill this request at the time." Now, of course, everyone jumped on that. This was a little while ago. I don't know. Everyone jumped on that. A criminal investigation, because that is the first time anyone had said it was a criminal investigation. And she then came out, this Michelle Oswald, and said it was what would you call it? A slip of the finger, if you like, on the email, that she should not have said it was a criminal investigation. But you know what? It may well have been a Freudian slip. Maybe it is a criminal investigation. But you can imagine the furore when this came out. Everyone was like, what? A criminal investigation? And she then came out and said, no, no, no. It was a mistake. It's an open investigation, not a criminal investigation. So they're still insisting, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, it's not a criminal investigation. But there was another thing that happened, wasn't it? Wasn't the district attorney involved in something? And the district attorney normally wouldn't get involved unless it was a criminal investigation. So really, we don't know. We don't know. It could be a criminal investigation, but for whatever reason, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation don't want everyone to know it is. You know, the thing is, if it, you know, she's made a big mistake when she made this reply, because at the end of the day, if it is even just any sort of investigation, but especially if it is a criminal investigation, they're supposed to keep everything to themselves. What normally happens with these sort of cases, isn't it? Nothing. You know, we've seen it with Samantha Murphy case over in Australia. Nothing happens for ages. And people start saying, God, the police aren't doing anything. Oh, do I? And then suddenly someone gets arrested or whatever. That's probably what will happen in this case. So personally, I'm not sure that anyone's going to get arrested. I think Sebastian may well have run off, and maybe something befell him, maybe had some sort of accident or something, or maybe somebody out there, there's bad people out there, got him to get in their car or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I literally do not know. But it may be that one day we just wake up to hear that someone's been arrested. And it could be somebody we would never have thought of, nothing to do with the family at all. Could be literally a stranger that has done something to Sebastian. Or one day, hopefully, our hope is that one day Sebastian will just turn up, safe and well. That's got to always be the hope, hasn't it? So, yeah, but thanks for that, Jean. It's not fake. It's not fake, Jean. It's true, but it was from a little while ago. And then the actual the lady from that wrote it came out and said it was a mistake. She should not have said it was a criminal investigation. So, yeah, thank you, David. Yes, remember the like. Okay, so let me find this video that I wanted to put on. So I wanted to get back, remember Sebastian. It's like, it's just got ridiculous, hasn't it? So we're going to look at, this is a video that was on Court TV. I don't think we've looked at it before. Maybe we have, but it's good to look at it again. And this is Court TV, Vinnie Politan. He's one of our favourites, or one of my favourites anyway. I think he's not only my favourite, I think there's a few of us like him. And he does these closing arguments. And he did this video about Sebastian. As I say, it's a little while ago now, but it's good to... it's good to, we need to go back to the actual facts of the case and not forget all this. That horrible Tony, I honestly think he's had such a bad, Seth couldn't be made to do something, I know. Seeing if I've got a picture of Tony somewhere. Not that you really want to have a look at him, but this is it. Yeah, so here's Tony Mathis. Sorry, my hair's coming out the thing. I'm going to put my hair down. It'll be like Wurzel Gummidge, but yeah, Tony and Seth when they appeared together on the Pascal show, and he had Seth in a collared shirt. That's a fit. There's just something very sinister about Tony. I like to call him Tony the Phony. I'll probably get a cease and desist for that. But there's just something about him. I don't know. Seth, I think Seth has done a wrong move, let's say, by getting involved with Tony. Don't know what Tony's, what is, what's the word? I don't know what his rationale is of why he's doing what he's doing. But I just, he's just, for me anyway, the impression I get of him, it's just something about him. Don't know what it is. Sinister. He's sinister Tony the Phony. Okay, gosh. Right, let me just sort my hair out. The sun just bleaches it completely. It's almost white blonde. Well, it's probably white because I'm old now, but okay. Right, let's have a look at this video.
Inside this beautiful neighborhood in Hendersonville, Tennessee, there is an unsolved mystery. It was a Sunday night going into a Monday morning, and 15-year-old Sebastian Rogers was supposed to be inside his home sleeping. His mother, Katie Proudfoot, says he went to bed at 9, but was making some noise around 10, including a thud sound. Katie told him to go to sleep. She went to bed.
Yeah, remember this thud sound? So this was the interview that Katie and Chris did on Chronicles of Olivia, didn't they? And yeah, they talked about this thud sound, but Katie didn't go in to check on him. So, and some people have criticised that, but do you go in to check on a 15-year-old? I don't know, it depends, I suppose. She did call to him and he did reply. So she knew he was okay. I mean, that's exactly, to be perfectly honest, that's probably exactly what I would do. Shout up, are you okay? What's going on? Are you okay? And once they said, oh yeah, I'm fine, I don't know if I would have really thought any more of it. But, because teenage boys are always dropping things on the floor or, they're clumsy, aren't they? But anyway, maybe that's me. Maybe I'm a bad mother as well. Who knows?
Around midnight. Then at 6 a.m., Katie woke up. She went to his room to get him ready for school, but Sebastian was gone. She searched the house and he was nowhere to be found. Sebastian's stepfather, Chris Proudfoot, was not home, and Sebastian's father, Seth Rogers, was at work about 45 minutes away.
They've got a big house, haven't they? It's a very big house. It's like, he could have been lost in that house even, I know the police have searched the house. They've searched the house, was it about 13 times? They've been in there with dogs, so we've got to presume he is not in the house.
Police responded and began trying to figure out what happened. That was back on February 26th. And now, more than a month later, no sign of Sebastian, no sign of foul play, and no answers about what happened. Tonight, we'll take a look at some of the strange facts surrounding this case, like the lights in the neighborhood at 3 a.m.
Yeah, that was the big thing as well, wasn't it? The lights, the video in the neighborhood, and but they've been discredited. Supposedly, were just trucks or whatever. But
we'll also take a closer look at Sebastian and how his medical conditions and mental health could have played a role. And we'll focus on the water searches as we continue.
Yeah, they drained that pond. So I'm sure they would have found him if he was in that pond. They drained it completely.
Continue our investigation into the mysterious disappearance of Sebastian Rogers. I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you for joining us tonight on Closing Arguments. I can't believe we're still here tonight.
He's looking rather nice in his pink tie there, Vinnie, isn't he? But yeah, this was over a month ago, and he's saying, I can't believe we're still here.
In the search for a 15-year-old boy with autism, and there's zero leads. Zero leads in this case.
Yeah, nothing.
How does that happen? And you take a step back and you think, well, what are the possibilities of where he is or what happened to this little boy? Now, he could have, he's 15 years old. He could have, on his own, gotten up and run away. But could a 15-year-old boy in the middle of the night get up, run away, and not leave evidence of anything? Could he be that stealth? Now, people often, sometimes people run away and they don't want to be found for whatever reason. And obviously that's a possibility here. But a 15-year-old boy pulling that off? 15-year-old boy with autism?
I think the thing is, it's this not having shoes on. He's not going to run away with no shoes on, is he? Surely. Unless there was an argument and he ran away just like that. That's a possibility, isn't it? That maybe Katie's not telling the truth in that way. Maybe they had an argument, he ran off and he didn't stop to put his shoes on. But I think it's this not having the shoes on that makes it unlikely that he ran away. Unless he did have shoes on and maybe she miscalculated his shoes. But you normally do know what shoes child has, don't you? But somebody was saying, was it Jennifer Coffindaffer, wasn't it, on the interview she did? She was saying, oh, did she check if there were any socks missing? I don't think you would know. Well, I certainly wouldn't know if socks were missing, but shoes you would.
Autism, able to just get out of the house, no one's going to find me, go wherever he's going, and somehow hiding and surviving. That's one possibility, right? Another possibility is somebody did something and something happened. But over and over again, we hear no evidence of foul play. And the real question I have tonight is, investigators, are they any closer to finding him?
No, they're not. And a month on, they're still not any further finding him. But we're a month on from this video with Vinnie. And this police guy, we haven't seen him. You know, God, I'd forgotten about him, to be honest. He popped up, didn't he? Did a press conference. He's popped up a couple of times. But I'd just forgotten all about him, to be honest. It's been that long since we've seen his face. There's been nothing from the police. Nothing. Nada. Zilch.
So there was another search. And we heard about this last week, a search of the area. So if they're searching that area, that means that, from my perspective, they don't know where he is, number one. They don't necessarily know what happened to him. Because they're telling us no evidence of foul play, and we're still searching and we're still finding nothing. So are they any closer tonight than they were on February 26th?
No.
And let's look at the other possibility here, right? That there is foul play without any evidence, right? There's no evidence of foul play. That doesn't mean that there wasn't foul play and they just have not found any evidence. Or it could be a combination of the two, that he decides to leave on his own and then something happens. But still, under all of these scenarios, there's not one video. There's not one witness coming forward. There's no forensic.
Well, not that we know of. Not that we know of course. I mean, there may be more CCTV. Apparently there was. Somebody mentioned that there was, but again, it was all, you know, none of it was confirmed. There was that on the Amber Alert poster. It does say that he was last seen, you know, far away from the house. Remember, we looked at that. It said that he was seen on the 26th, on the next day. So that's another sort of confusing thing.
Forensic evidence. There's no evidence of anything happening anywhere. Like, this is baffling to me. That in 2024, someone just vanished. You know, where could he be? I think these water searches are crucial. And we're going to talk about that tonight. And you look at the neighborhood and you go around, and there's ponds everywhere. They're kind of murky. But, like, wouldn't there be evidence like leading to that pond or something? Wherever it is, whether it's close or far. I mean, how far is he getting without shoes in the middle of the night? Like, really, where's he going? Where's a 15-year-old without shoes going? Why doesn't anyone know? Why doesn't anyone know? I'm asking a lot of questions tonight because there's all questions.
Yeah, nobody knows. Nobody knows. Or do they? Or just is it that we don't know? Is there more going on? Because, of course, the police have been communicating with Chris and Katie. And don't forget, they have passed lie detector tests, apparently. Katie supposedly has done 2 lie detector tests and passed. Chris has passed, and, well, I'm still not sure about Seth, because there's the thing about the one, did he fall asleep during one? But then apparently he passed another one. So they've all passed lie detector tests. Maybe, but apparently the police are in contact with Katie and Chris. But you know, Seth has been complaining for a while that the police have not been communicating with him. But of course, Seth was on all the social media, so that's probably why the police weren't communicating with him. Or is that the reason? I don't know. But apparently the police are in constant contact with Katie and Chris. So
there seemingly aren't answers anywhere. But why doesn't anyone know where he is? It's mind-boggling. In most of the cases that we've covered, someone's missing. There are certain clues. Oh, there's a ping off of a cell phone. There's a spotted at a rest stop. There is someone who's wanted. There is something that is left behind that, okay, the case isn't solved, but there's a lead, like there's a direction. Here, there's nothing, absolutely nothing. How is that possible, and why doesn't anyone know? Let me bring in our guest joining us tonight. Podcaster Pascal Beauboeuf is with us. You can watch him on YouTube at The Pascal Show. A lot of people have been. You've been talking a lot about this. Give me just your initial thoughts tonight about like this case, because there are other stories and cases that you cover as well. But this one, it's like nothing, Pascal.
Well, honored to be here, Vinnie. But I got to be honest. This is getting thicker than a Snicker, and there still aren't any answers to all the questions, and even more and more questions keep coming up, and the answers are just sitting in the back, and I don't know what is going on. It is so crazy, this case, and we're turning left, we're turning right. It's been all over the place, and man, I just wish we had at least something, a little tiny bit of something that would lead us towards Sebastian's location, at least.
No evidence of foul play. No one is a suspect in anything.
now I wonder if Pascal received a cease and desist letter. Does anybody know if he did? I think he backed off the case, hadn't he? But do you think he has received a letter?
Yet, did something happen that would make him want to leave? Was there a reason for him to go somewhere? Is there evidence of him going anywhere? How do you get in and out of the house? What was his state of mind? These are so many questions, but let's start just by looking at a map. I want to look at a map so we have some idea of where all this is happening. It's a neighborhood. It's a nice neighborhood. There is a construction of another nice neighborhood taking place next door. You look on this map, there's a cemetery. There's various places where there are small bodies of water. There is a high school there as well. There's Long Hollow Pike, the road. On the other side of that road, there is a whole bunch of trees and brush and more bodies of water there. But at the end of the day, Pascal, when we begin here, looking at this neighborhood, that's the first thing. I always start with the neighborhood. And this is not the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, they've searched that Long Hollow Pike a few times, haven't they? And I don't know, when Seth has done the searches, he's done searches, hasn't he, with search parties? When he was still speaking to the because there's been loads of people who've sort of been involved and then gone, isn't there? Search. Who was that? Cajun Army or whatever, or Navy, Cajun Navy that came from searching for Riley Strain and then went to help them, and they fell out, didn't they? It seems to, but these places have been searched several times, I think, not only by the police.
There's nice homes, like really nice homes in this neighborhood. If you're leaving in the middle of the night, where are you going? And if someone is coming to meet him in the middle of the night, I would think someone would have seen or heard, or some video somewhere would show us something.
Right. I mean, you'd think that at least some sort of ring camera would have picked something up. Some security camera, something of some sort would have shown Sebastian moving around. I mean, of course, we've seen this flashlight video. It looks like fireflies in the dark. Now that's been debunked, saying that that is a garbage truck, which I still am wondering how a garbage truck with a light on moves around in that kind of fashion. It just seems a little bit weird to me.
At 3 o'clock in the morning. Let me tell you,
Exactly.
if the garbage man shows up in my neighborhood 3 o'clock in the morning, everyone in the neighborhood's calling the next day saying, don't ever do that again, because it's going to wake everybody up.
No doubt. Absolutely. So that's the thing that doesn't make any sense. What's the activity that was going on in that area? And is there any depiction of that at all?
Let's do this. There's an audio recording that's been circulating online that sounds like it could be a radio transmission call from a canine handler during the search for Sebastian. The speaker references several places near Sebastian's home, like that construction site we've been talking about, the cemetery, and the retention pond. The link to the audio file was uploaded to Twitter by SF Investigates. It's unclear, though, where the recording came from originally. Let's take a listen.
Nice big track back up, going into the construction site over here, back towards the beach. The one behind you. It's awful muddy. Do you see any footprints, anything? You shouldn't have any shoes on. Thing is, this is all dry, hard packed. Outside report. LT, we're now headed back south towards the cemetery on the far end of the construction site. Hey, boy, I can see. I do have some footprints over here. Right there where you're standing?
Yeah, remember this. We listened to this, didn't we? Gosh, you know, you forget. The thing is, this is, I'm so glad we're doing this tonight, because this is the whole problem with this case. Everything has gone off about Seth and Tony and all this bloody shenanigans and everything. And I'd forgotten about this bloody recording. You know, we'd forgotten about the actual facts of the case. This guy, he saw footprints, didn't he? I remember this now. We listened to it, but everything's got lost in all the drama between that Seth has caused, really, and Tony.
Yeah, leading right over here to the retaining pond. No shoes, just footprints.
Well, footprints leading over to the retaining pond, but that has been searched, that pond. Didn't they drain it and search it?
The shoes that Max went straight into the pond. He literally dove into it.
So I'm presuming Max is the dog. Max went straight into the pond. He literally dove into it. So is that where the dog led them to? Oh, but then if the pond was drained, or, you know, he can't be in there, surely. They can't have missed him. Oh.
And that, we believe, is the canine, Pascal. And we heard about this early on in the investigation, which would, you know, make some sense. There's a scent that they're following towards the retention pond. But my understanding is they drained the retention pond and found nothing here.
Yeah, that's what I've learned as well. I mean, I remember in the very beginning of this whole case, they were saying that no scent. There was no scent at all. Now we're suddenly hearing about footprints and a scent leading into this retention pond. But then they even drained the pond. So what's going on here? What's the truth? Who's misleading?
Yeah, it's there you go. You heard that policeman say loud and clear there were footprints. They led to the pond and the dog dove straight into the pond. But they drained the pond and found nothing.
Leading who and why are they withholding this information? Because I don't know which is the truth. And I think the public really wants to know. We, I think, deserve to know. The people that are out here volunteering time after time, day after day, looking for Sebastian. They deserve to know something that pertains to getting closer to finding Sebastian.
Now, you've spoken with Sebastian's father on your show several times. Let's take a listen to one of those.
Hi, Katrina. Hope you're well.
Interviews and discussions that you had involving this dog following some scent.
One dog followed a scent out into a construction site and then it disappeared. Could you maybe expand on that or explain a little bit more about that?
One of the dog handlers told me first day,
Wow.
Monday, that the dog popped to a trail and they followed it and went all the way around and it ended in a construction site, but it ended. It's like there was nothing there.
Right.
So this is Seth talking when he was talking. You know, he's not talking unless he gets paid now, apparently. But he must, you know, all the YouTubers have shared his Cash App and all these details. So he has received money. And I'm not saying he shouldn't, because when he was getting the T-shirts made or whatever, posters, flyers, whatever, it costs money. You know, whatever he's done with it, I'm not saying he shouldn't. But what I'm saying is, why is he now sending out cease and desist letters? I think he'd find it difficult to prove a case against these YouTubers because he's the one who was out there talking. You can't go out there talking and making these interviews and everything, and then just when you feel like it, turn around and say, oh, nobody can play them or whatever. You know, you've voluntarily gone out there and done that.
And that's a little odd, right?
Leads me to believe that, well, if it ends, normally the scent ends when you stop traveling on foot. From my understanding, that would mean that he got into a car.
That's right. So
did he get into a car? You know? But if he got into a car, why is there no CCTV? Or was it because it was dark? I mean, I don't know. It is. You know, looking back over this, it's so good because I've forgotten, you know, you've got to say with all the drama that's been going on, other kind of drama, you've forgotten about the actual drama of the case itself.
So now you listen to that. And again, they're saying that there's no evidence of foul play, but there's a scent leading to nothing, to absolutely nothing there, Pascal. I mean, you've got to deduce something from that. They haven't really talked about this a lot, but this would seem to be a potential lead or explanation as to what could have happened here if, in fact, he's leaving the house, heading towards that construction site, nothing in the water, but the scent disappears.
It's very weird. In that interview, Seth talks about footprints going in, or a scent going into this construction site, talks about the pond. But then he came on later in another show, days later, about a week later, says that had been debunked. We've heard it on other platforms as well, saying that law enforcement said that the scent that they are talking about was debunked. But then we're all still hearing from the Proudfoots about this scent leading into the pond. Yet again, like you said earlier, Vinny, that pond was drained. They walked that pond. So why are we still talking about this, the footprints, the scent leading into those areas? Like I said, something's just not mathing for me. Something just doesn't make any sense.
And we're not, have the Proudfoots come on your show?
No, I would love to have them on my show.
So we've invited them as well, waiting, and I know this is a difficult spot for everyone involved, and they've spoken to the Chronicles of Olivia. We spoke with her. They've spoken with Nancy Grace as well. A lot of people talking about that interview. But it seems that you've got Sebastian's parents are in totally different places, and I get it, they're not together. So obviously they don't see things the same way to begin with. But at this point, you hear a lot from Seth, you hear very little from the Proudfoots. Seth seems to still be on the ground there, involved in coordinating some searches near and around that construction site close to the home.
It's interesting listening to this, isn't it? Because this was about a month ago, or maybe even more, 6 weeks. I wonder what Vinnie thinks about it all now, about Seth since. Now, you know, I do think that Seth's mental health has probably deteriorated over this time that his son's been missing. I mean, there's no doubt about that. It must be awful what he's going through. And now he's ended up with this Tony. This is just not good, Seth. You know, he needs to. Tony has alienated him from everybody else that was helping him or was having. He's just isolated him. Sorry, I should say. And you know, just watching this, it's interesting. Seth, I'm sure his mental health has deteriorated. You know, having your son go missing for all that time will do that to you. But you just think, who is helping him except Tony? Because he needs somebody else to help him.
Home, and the Proudfoots seemingly are out of town.
Yeah, they're gone. It seems like they're on vacay, to be honest. But I will say this, just because they are somewhere else in their RV, away from that house, away from the search, is not an admission of guilt. But by the court of public opinion, optically, it looks really, really bad. I wish that they were here or there, doing whatever they can to find Sebastian, because again, it should be the three of them, boots on the ground, trying to find Sebastian. But this also gives us a little bit, it shines a little bit of a light on the relationship, the dynamics that are going on between the three of them. Something seems like something might be a little bit off between the three of them.
Well, I agree. And later on in the program, we're going to dig through some of the divorce documents, and you can tell that by reading those, you understand people get divorced for a reason and things are bad. But, you know, we had an experience, and maybe it was very unusual with Gabby Petito. Her parents both got remarried, and together that group was a force, and they were all on the same page, looking for Gabby desperately. That's not the case here, and it could have to do with the dynamics of the divorce, everything else. But at the end of the day, there's not a unified approach to the search, to looking, to trying to find what happened here. And that is troubling. From people you've spoken to in all of this, do you get a sense that the Proudfoots were getting some flack, and it could have been potentially dangerous for them to hang around, that people were looking at them the wrong way? And
yeah, I do think that's true. I mean, you know, I don't know what's going through Katie Proudfoot's head in that interview that she did with Chronicles of Olivia. I don't know what's going through Chris Proudfoot's head. You don't know what happened, didn't happen. We just don't know. But I did understand when Katie moved away, she's not going to want to be in that house on her own when everybody knows where she lives, and everybody there was so much hate towards her. Of course, I would put myself in her position. There's no way I would be staying in that house on my own if it couldn't be helped, you know, that I was going to end up there on my own, because I would have wanted to stay there, of course, until Sebastian came, you know, until my son came home. But the thing that Katie said, I remember it resonated with me at the time, that the police had virtually said to her that Sebastian was not in the area. But, you know, we can judge Katie and say, oh, she should have done this or she shouldn't have done that. But we don't know, because we weren't in her shoes. But imagine living in that house, all those people who know where you are, who hate your guts, and you're living in that house on your own, you know, and missing your son. You know, if we assume that Katie didn't have anything to do with the disappearance, you know, it wouldn't have been. I do understand why she moved away to go to be with Chris. I do understand that.
we know sometimes how these stories and cases can take on a life of their own, and you start to feel a little bit of the pressure.
Well, I will say this. I mean, I get it that they may be getting death threats. They may be getting some threats of some sort. There may be a lot of pressure where everybody's giving him the hard side eye. I definitely get that. But at the end of the day, the main common goal should be universal. The focus on finding Sebastian. I don't know about you, okay, but as a family man, as someone who cares for my loved ones, if ever someone I loved went missing, I don't care how much ridicule. If I became the town's pariah, I wouldn't care. I'd still show up and do everything I could to find my son, to find my daughter, to find my loved one. So optically, again, this is very, very weird.
It's counter to what people believe in their gut, and it's counter to what I've seen from other parents in the past. You know, in all the stories, and unfortunately you've seen this before, where a child goes missing and you wonder how everyone reacts and acts in that, in the aftermath. If the child is still missing and hasn't been found, why would you ever stop looking? How
Absolutely.
could you ever stop looking? Where are you looking? And that's not happening here, and that's troubling for a lot of folks. But at the end of the day, there's a child still missing, and the child needs to be found. The child could be in danger. Like, no one knows. If you're the ones in the home, if you're the ones in the home that he disappeared from, you know more than anyone about what could have happened here. And we're not necessarily seeing that. Go ahead.
If it's okay. One thing that I've realized about the Petito Schmidt family, regardless of their differences, they became a united front. They came together for the common goal of trying to find Gabby Petito and get justice for Gabby. We're not seeing this here. And what breaks my heart is that it should be a unified front.
Exactly right. And that was weird, wasn't it? But that was because of Seth. It was because of Seth. With Seth, started slagging off Katie and Chris. It wasn't Chris and Katie were slagging Seth off. It was because of Seth. Seth is obviously obsessed with Katie even now, I think. There was something else I was going to say then, but yeah, they haven't made a united front. That's what's caused all this drama. Because if you can't put, you should put your differences aside as when you're looking for a missing child. And yeah, in the Gabby Petito case, the parents came together. We saw it with Riley Strain. His mum and dad were both in new relationships. When they were, when Riley was being searched for, they appeared as a united front as well. Maybe there was, whenever there's a divorce, there's always problems. People don't divorce because there's no problems. So, it's unusual. It's more likely that it's an acrimonious divorce than a not acrimonious divorce. So, but, if you've got a child together, you should show a united front. I agree with Pascal there.
They all should be banding together, putting aside their differences and looking at the common goal, getting Sebastian home.
Absolutely. Pascal's going to stay with us. When we come back, we're going to take a closer look at Sebastian and bring in an expert, talk about some of the issues that we've uncovered that Sebastian was suffering from, how all of that could impact what happened to this 15-year-old. Plus, coming up next hour.
In Oakland County, Michigan, the parents of the Oxford school shooter are sentenced for the deaths of the 4 victims shot by their son. Emotions running.
Something has happened to my son under her watch. Knew my son was missing, and I just started watching body language, listening to words coming out. Did I form an opinion? Yeah, I formed an opinion. I am only human. Then again, once again, my son, something has happened to my son under her watch. And once again,
yeah, he shouldn't have been saying that on public TV, you know, on public. Something has happened to my son under a watch, whether it's true or not. He shouldn't have been saying that. I'm sorry, I really do think that, because it turns out things have happened to his son under his watch. You know, but you've not had, Katie's not been out, or certainly wasn't out there in the beginning saying all the things that he'd done wrong. So, you know, this was Seth right from the beginning. This is what I didn't like about him. All the things he was saying, not only that, but saying about, you know, Sebastian's abuse that he'd suffered, and, you know, just talking about hanging out all his dirty washing. A 15-year-old boy, can you imagine even if he comes back, hearing that the world knows about what's happened to him?
she wasn't being an adult. She wasn't being a parent taking care of an autistic child.
Oh, where's the sound?
That there are problems. It's obvious that there are problems here between Seth and Katie. That's why they got divorced. Now, they have a child together, a child with autism, and trying to understand these dynamics and how that could impact what happened to Sebastian and why he would suddenly vanish for whatever reason that it could impact. We dove into the divorce documents between Katie and Seth, because sometimes you go in there, you can pull out information that may very well shed some more light on this case and Sebastian himself. Take a look on the screen here. In those divorce documents, our son suffers from a rare condition called 6q27 chromosomal deletion syndrome. Among the symptoms he suffers from are incidents of acting out, where he hits and bites himself out of frustration. He's been known to throw himself to the ground during these incidents. So what exactly is this 6q27? How could that impact a child? How could that impact a teenager who's 15 years old? We're going to dig into that right now. Still with me, podcaster Pascal Bobuff, and also joining us tonight in Los Angeles, California, clinical and forensic neuropsychologist, associate professor at Pepperdine University, and author of The New Rules of Attachment. Dr. Judy Ho is with us. Thank you so much, Dr. Judy Ho. Let me ask you this: 6q27. What is that? What does that mean? And how could that impact a child, and then a 15-year-old teenager, and someone who's been a child of a divorce?
Well, Vinnie, 6q27 deletion syndrome is a genetic condition. It's very rare, and it's caused by the deletion of a small piece of chromosome 6. So the deletion can vary in size. We don't know more details. And also what we know about this syndrome is that it's somewhat heterogeneous in presentation. So just depending on how much it's affecting the person, they could display a number of different behavioral difficulties. We saw on that court document that you just showed, Vinnie, some of the ones that are specific to Sebastian. But some of the more common ones are some developmental delays in some area of perhaps language or motor skills or even social skills. Sometimes these individuals have a mild intellectual disability and some cognitive issues. Oftentimes they have communication difficulties, social challenges, understanding feelings of another person and being able to interact back and forth. Sometimes they'll have difficulty with impulse control and managing their anger and more negative emotions. And there is some research that suggests there may be an increased risk of autism disorder. So they're not one-to-one, but there may be a slight risk amplified based on this particular deletion syndrome.
Now, also in these documents, they describe a specific incident. And again, this is from papers filed by Seth. On August 11th, 2016, I had told him that day that if he cleaned his room, he could go swimming. I asked him if his room was clean, and he replied that it wasn't. I told him he couldn't go swimming until it was clean. Sebastian reacted by flying into a rage, screaming and hitting himself, biting himself, and trying to throw himself on the floor. I reached out to catch him before his head hit the door frame. So Dr. Judy Ho, knowing this, knowing that he is a child with autism, you kind of put that together. Now he's 15 years old, going through those changes as well. He's in the middle of a situation where his mother and father don't really get along and don't see eye to eye on a lot of things. What are your thoughts about how all of that could play a role in why this child has vanished?
Well, Vinnie, during the teenage years, we know that our young people are going through a number of different transitions.
Well, sorry, I just want to say that it's true, isn't it? So it's bad enough teenage years. For any teenager, it struggles. But, I suppose it's worse for an autistic teenager. It's, God, puberty is hard for, you just don't realize it. When you're going through it, we all went through it. But at the time, you're just so centered in yourself, you don't realize what's going on. But when you see it from the outside, like with your own children, and then it reminds you of what you were like when you were going through it, it's an absolute mess, isn't it? Puberty, going through that for anyone. It's God, you wouldn't go. Well, I certainly would not go back to that age. You paid me £1 million because it's just a horrible time.
Trying to figure out who they are, their identity, their place in life. They're grappling with issues of self-esteem and what they're going to do in the future. So that's already a stressful time for everyone. But now we have these additional stressors. Mom and dad possibly not getting along, trying to figure out, how to essentially exist in the middle as you're seeing potential co-parenting difficulties. Individuals, even if they're not communicating them directly, they're still feeling the pressure. They're still feeling the difficulties from these parental arguments. And so if we think of this time as a potentially very stressful time, an additionally stressful time for Sebastian, there could have been a number of other things that have come up. Maybe his emotion regulation difficulties were even getting more challenging in face of these stressors. And so I just think that there's so much more that we have to uncover, because there's way more than meets the eye. I heard your conversation with Pascal earlier, and there's just a lot of things that are not really making sense and not adding up. And it just kind of feels like some of the information, as we mentioned before, there was a CPS call to the primary residence of the mother and the stepfather. Now, why was it that CPS call? Why was biological father Seth not notified of that until later, finding out on podcasts? There's something here that we don't know about, and we have so much more to find out.
Yeah, there is lots going on. There was that, wasn't there? There were things that Seth was saying that he hadn't been told about, things that he probably, as the biological father, he should have been told about. And he did have part custody of Sebastian, didn't he? It's a right mess, really, the whole thing. And yeah, if you take all of it, Sebastian's autism and this deletion syndrome he's got, he's being problems with his stepdad, problems with his dad, sort of all combined together. I mean, I don't know about you, but I get the impression that Sebastian, he will have been difficult to deal with, because of all these conditions. And that's not his fault, but he will have been difficult to deal with. And when you get someone like Chris and someone like Seth, who to me they seem quite alike, to be honest, in their personalities, trying to be the boss man, and trying to, I know from experience, family experience, there's a certain way you have to deal with, autistic children, and it's difficult. It's difficult because, sometimes you just forget you've got to be walking on eggshells all the time, because just one little thing can bring a meltdown, can't it? I know there's a lot of you out there, a lot of my regular chatters who've got experience with autism. Just one little thing out of place, one little thing goes wrong, one word that you say wrong, and the whole, that there's a whole big meltdown right there and then. Again, not his fault, it's just the way it is, but it's hard for the people that are looking after them as well, because you've got to watch. Everything you say, everything you do, you've got to think that step ahead all the time. And sometimes when you're tired or when we're all human, sometimes you can't think that step ahead. It doesn't make you a bad parent. It just means that sometimes you forget. But just the personalities of both Chris and Seth, I would think that's difficult, because they're like old school, aren't they? Like, I tell you to do this, you do it. But it doesn't work like that with autism.
Yeah.
Pascal, in your conversations with Sebastian's dad, Seth, did this come up? Did he talk a lot about the stress between his family, between him and Katie, and issues of custody and where this child was going to stay, and whether or not there was something happening around this time, some sort of a change in that relationship?
Well, honestly, the conversations that we've had on the show, a lot of it has just been him saying, hey, as soon as school is over, Sebastian's coming over to stay with me, and then he'll be with me from that point on. So there hasn't really been much detail about any type of rift or any type of tension between the three of them or anything of that sort. So the only part that became a moment of tension was when he found out about the CPS being called after the belt incident on Sebastian. And he was like, I just didn't know about any of that. I just found
that. I want to just go back to that landfill site. I still think this makes me go cold when I see this, because I still think that, there's a reason why the law enforcement searched this landfill site, and I still think there's something. There's a reason. Something may have befallen Sebastian. The reason why they're searching
when he found out
landfill
about the
site
CPS.
Makes me go cold. I don't know why. I just always get this horrible feeling. Now, the thing is, sometimes autistic children, they do hurt themselves. Someone in my family, a nephew, punches himself in the face, and he's an adult. That sometimes he does that. It's like, so sometimes it's so complex, isn't it? So difficult to deal with sometimes. And we don't know all the full details of everything that's happened. I think Sebastian, I expect he was difficult at times to deal with, and he will have had meltdowns. Of course he will.
Being called after the belt incident on Sebastian. And he was like, I just didn't know about any of that. I just found out through the podcast, like we just said a second ago. And he was absolutely shocked. He obviously was very upset, very moved, very perturbed over that information. But honestly, as far as talking about the dynamics of the relationship before Sebastian disappeared, he didn't say much. He was fairly diplomatic about that, to be completely honest.
Now, Sebastian's father told Nancy Grace in an interview posted on YouTube this week that Sebastian had expressed on several occasions that he did not want to return to the home he shared with his mother and stepfather. Let's take a listen.
He's on multiple occasions sit there and has told me he doesn't want to go back. And I've asked him, why don't you want to go back? And he wouldn't tell me. He didn't say why. He was just like, I just don't want to go back. And
so he was against Seth. Oh no, he said he didn't want to go back, but then we find out they didn't want to go and live with his dad either. So another thing you have to be careful about with children who are bouncing between parents. They do tend to, often bounce one parent off against another. Say, oh well, my mum lets me do that, or my dad lets me do that, or oh, you're not my real dad, that they say to step parents, or you're not my real mom. And, they say horrible things to their own parents, to their biological parents. Teenagers are difficult. So, but Seth was coming out with this again. Oh yeah, he said he didn't want to go back there, but then it transpires he didn't want to go and live with him either. So, Seth, again, he should not have been saying these things. He's what's caused all this drama.
it's You know, at that point in time, I'm just like, okay, well, maybe it's the freedom that he gets at my house.
Dr. Judy Ho, there's lots of reasons why a 15-year-old may want to stay with one parent over the other for whatever reason. But if that same child now disappears, I think this is something that becomes much more significant.
That's exactly right, Vinny. At some point or another, between these mixed households, child's going to show a preference over living in one household for another. A lot of the reasons are not nefarious. It's just something that they're going through. But like you said, putting all of the pieces together, the CPS call, the child disappearing, some potentially strange behaviors from mother and stepfather. Again, everybody grieves differently. Everybody deals with stress differently. But I think a lot of people are saying, well, why are you not staying close? Why are you not doing something more active in the search? Even if you are afraid of the social pressures around you, isn't the biggest priority to try to find your son and make sure that he's okay? I think it's just there's more and more things now that are adding up, Vinny, that's causing us to question exactly what was going on in this household right before he disappeared.
And Pascal, the other thing is happening, the more that, and you said this off the top, right? The deeper you go into the interpersonal relationships and issues that the adults in Sebastian's life have, it just seems like there's much more potential for there to be a reason for him to disappear, whether he disappears voluntarily or whether something happened that made him disappear. It just seems that there's conflict and there are things happening in the lives of these three adults that somehow impacted this child, because he did not just vanish for no reason.
Absolutely. Obviously, as you can see, there's a lot going on, as you just said. There's a lot going on inside this family, this blended family, if you will. And there could be many possibilities of him running off because he couldn't stand bouncing back and forth like a tennis ball from one household to the other. There is a possibility of him liking staying with his father more than staying with the Proudfoots. That's a possibility as well. But I guess that's still, those are all questions that are still up in the air that I think we're all begging, pleading for an answer on.
Yeah, it's the old news cliche, more questions than answers, but it continues. And all the questions are really come down to one question, like, where is Sebastian? Pascal Beaubuff, make sure you check him out on YouTube after this show, right? You have to wait after this show, go to Pascal, download, watch his live streams, awesome stuff.
I didn't know Pascal's surname was, what did he say, Beaubuff? Pascal Beaubuff, I didn't know that was his name. That's an interesting surname.
Dr. Judy Ho, great to see you. Make sure you grab the book. When we come back, folks, we're going to focus on some of the water searches. There's a lot of water in that area. Not big bodies of water, but enough. That's next.
Hint?
There is no evidence to support foul play is involved in the disappearance of Sebastian.
But at this point, you don't rule it out?
We're not ruling anything.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about this guy. It's been that long since we've seen him talk. Gosh, I remember he did a press conference. A couple of times we've looked at him talking, but for ages ago. I don't know. Yeah, my heart goes out to him too. You try and cling on to this little hope that maybe he is okay somewhere, and then just all this time that he's been gone. But it seems like no sighting whatsoever. Almost seems maybe that gives more hope than he can't have just disappeared into thin air. Something has happened to him. He's somewhere, either dead or alive. He's somewhere. He's not just been beamed up onto another planet. He is somewhere.
All right, I get it. Not ruling it out. It seems they don't really have the leads, the evidence. They just concluded another search last Friday. So where are we in all this? I want to show you the map another time, because this is significant in all of this, in terms of whether or not there are clues, whether a scent was picked up, whether or not water searches are the key right now in this area, and how wide of a scope will you go? Chris Proudfoot was interviewed by Nancy Grace, and this is what he said. He said there have been dogs from all over the country that have come in and done searches and had scent hits in various locations. But I could say a certain percentage of them tend to go towards the same spot, which would have been a retention pond. At least 3 that I know for a fact that did hit on the retention pond. What does that mean? Joining us tonight from the United Cajun Navy, Kevin LaFond, and in Salt Lake City, Utah, private investigator Jason Jensen. Great to have you both back. Kevin, let me start with you. The hits going towards the pond, that retention pond was drained, right?
It was, yes.
So what does it tell?
So this is this Cajun Navy that Seth, didn't he fall out with them as well? Anyway, then there was a big thing that they weren't genuine, or I don't know. I just lost. This is where I started losing track of it all, because it all started to become just drama.
What does it tell you?
It tells us that there's something that,
One more time, I didn't hear you.
well, obviously there's something, I'm sorry, obviously there's something that was there at some point in time. The thing with dogs is they can pick up a scent up to a year after the fact. So the age of that scent is unknown. Also the wind conditions, water conditions, what's in the soil, what's around at the time.
So that's interesting what he's saying. So he's saying scents can stay around. So it may be that at some point in time, Sebastian did go right up to that pond, maybe even went in it, just not necessarily on that night. Is that what he's saying, I suppose?
They'll play a factor in it. But if multiple dog teams are having a hit in the same location, it's pointing in a direction.
And Kevin, how much water is in that area that you would say are bodies of water that need to be searched in a case like this?
Well, obviously anything close to the home, but also larger bodies of water that are nearby. We, in fact, brought out one of our sonar boats with side scanning and direct down scanning sonar, as well as specialized night lighting rigs to actually look through the water at night in various water colors so they can see through it. So those places need to be searched in more detail, and that's something that we weren't able to get to that phase, searching the larger bodies of water.
All right, Jason Jensen, we've heard the official word from investigators. A lot of times they hold back some information, but the fact that they went searching, an additional search, and came back and said they didn't find anything tells me they don't really have the leads here if they're continuing these searches. So what, from your perspective, if he's barefoot, it's the middle of the night, like where is he going?
Right, you have to ask, what would draw a 15-year-old boy out of his home at 3 o'clock in the morning in a neighborhood that's pitch black. So, and with his situation, his disability, he had a past experience with fire ants that he would refuse to go outdoors barefooted. So if he actually left on his own volition, barefooted, what would compel him to do that? And with no genuine leads, they really got to keep all their options open, everything from foul play to an accident. So searching bodies of water where it could be an accidental drowning makes sense. But when they're draining retention ponds and finding nothing, that's clearly not the situation.
I want to show everyone that the surveillance video again. This is from Channel 5, Scripps News Nashville. Tracked this down, Nick Barris, reporter. Home security footage from somewhere in the neighborhood. I'm looking at this. Here's what the sheriff's deputy told Dick Barris about his reaction to this video, what it means.
No evidentiary value?
It is of no evidentiary value.
Can you tell me what those lights are?
No,
Why?
because the investigation remains ongoing.
So that's weird, isn't it? So he's saying they're of no evidentiary value. And then Nick says, can you tell me what they are? And he says, no, because the investigation's still ongoing. How weird. Because if they're of no evidentiary value, why not just say what they are? I mean, they look like flashlights to me, to be honest. I mean, they say they're the, oh God, I mean, they've been all over social media as well, haven't they? Blown up. That, you know, people say, no, it looks like somebody carrying someone. It looks like this and it looks like that. They just look like amoebas to me when they try and look at them more closely. But looking at them like this looks like a flashlight. But he's saying they're no evidentiary value. But, oh, well, can you tell me what they are? No. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
And so it could play a role down the road depending on developments?
We don't know what we don't know. So yes, it could play.
We don't know what we don't know. We don't know what we don't know. So yes, it could. Oh my God.
Play a role.
I'm trying to decipher what he just said, Jason. Could you decipher what the investigator told us or didn't tell us about that?
It sounds like they're trying to keep that information close to the vest, and they don't want to reveal that because it might be significant down.
Yeah, it's definitely significant, because if it wasn't significant, he would just say that. There's definitely, in my opinion, that is significant.
The road.
Okay, so you think they know what it is? They're just not saying?
I think they do. I mean, I've seen surveillance footage so many times. Me looking at that, believing it could be night vision, is not necessarily a light. I've had a bug fly up to my camera and it looked like it was lit up. So
it could be. It's funny that one, let's just go back a little bit, because that light comes on and then just goes off again, doesn't it?
it sounds like they're trying to keep that information close to the vest, and they don't want to reveal that because it might be significant down the road.
Okay, so you think they know what it is? They're just not saying?
I think they do. I mean, I've seen surveillance footage so many times. Me looking at that, believing it could be night vision, is not necessarily a light.
Yeah, that one seems to come on and then it just goes off, whereas that one's on all the time, so who knows?
I've had a bug fly up to my camera and it looked like it was lit up. So if it is a flashlight and it appears to be a couple, at a distance apart from each other, that would signal to me you got two people each walking with a flashlight. So if one person's ahead of another and they're like searching or they're in tandem, that might mean something. Going from the home where there was two adults, or maybe there was someone that came in and, abducted, which seems very highly unlikely in most situations. But we know from cases like John Benet Ramsey, abductions, alleged abductions can occur. So did someone go in the home? Because we know that mom said that she yelled over to Sebastian's room, hey, whatever's going on over there, stop it. Well, was that people in his room? We don't know. So if it was under an involuntary, exit, that would make sense. Why he would go.
No, the thing is, there could have been somebody in his room, because if you think that teenage kids can't smuggle someone in their room, they can. I've had that happen, with my son. You think they're at school, and then it turns out no, they're not. They're upstairs in the bedroom with their mates. This happens. Teenage kids do smuggle friends in and things. So it's possible that there was somebody in that room with him. That's what the thud was. Who knows? This is what we don't know yet. And then did that person and Sebastian go outside? Again, it could be nothing to do with Katie, or it could be everything to do with Katie, but we literally don't know.
Go barefooted.
And that thud, you're getting back to that thud. All right, Kevin LaFound, United Cajun Navy, where do you think the search should be headed today? Where should the focus be, and how far and wide should this search go?
Well, it's the larger bodies of water that really need to be searched at this point. There's been a lot of activity on the ground. There's been a lot of activity sweeping through, and the larger bodies of water with the specialized equipment that can detect down and out under the water really needs to be ruled out, because until you rule it out, it's in play.
Absolutely. Kevin LaFond, United Cajun Navy, private investigator Jason.
Okay, so that's it from that video. But it was interesting, wasn't it? I'm glad we looked at it, because it was good to go back over the facts of the case that have just got lost, you know, since all this drama with Seth and Katie and Phony Tony. You know, that is the actual case. That is what actually happened. Going back to that instead of all these bloody rubbish about cease and desist letters and stuff, you know. And I still don't understand why Seth's done that. He's not going to stop people talking about Sebastian. He shouldn't even want to stop people talking about Sebastian, because the only important thing is finding Sebastian. It's the only thing that matters. Doesn't matter what arguments Seth and Chris and Katie are having. Doesn't matter what Phony Tony's saying on TikTok. It's just a load of rubbish. It's just a load of background noise, because the only thing that matters, where is that boy? Where is Sebastian? You know, that is all that counts, isn't it? Where is he? Is he safe or not? Where is this boy? That's what matters. You know, Seth, Tony, all of you, sorry, you might be Sebastian's father, but you're not more important than Sebastian. You know, so people are going to talk about Sebastian until he's found one way or another, because, you know, the public are engaged in this case. You know, once the public gets engaged in a case, you know, gets to, and who knows why some cases engage more attention than others. We don't know that. You know, there's lots of missing children, lots of missing boys of Sebastian's age, I'm sure. But this case seems to have gained more traction than others. Who knows why? Perhaps because he's autistic, perhaps because of Seth, you know, going on all these YouTube channels and what have you. That's what's brought it to the attention. He should want to keep that up. You know, not be saying to him now suddenly no, you know, I mean, I agree he shouldn't be on the YouTube channel so much as he was. He should have been more controlled. I said that right from the beginning. But that doesn't mean to say I'm saying, or don't ever mention Sebastian again, and tell everybody else they're not allowed to mention him either. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you found it as interesting as I did. Look, you know, it was, it sounds awful, it's find my video as interesting as I did, but I did go looking back over Vinnie's video and remembering, like, going back 4 weeks, and so many things that we'd forgotten about the case. So I hope you found that illuminating, and let's hope and pray that you know, Sebastian will be found soon, one way or another, hopefully safe and well, you know. Okay, so thank you for being here with me. I'm going soon, but remember to press the like button, do the thumbs up or thumbs down if you want. Either way is okay. That's a free way you can help out my channel. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. And I want to say, and also think about joining, think about membership. My membership goes from only $1.99 a month, and it's cancelable anytime. And I now have 2 membership levels. So we've got the Let's Chat, which is $1.99 a month. And we do have a special members live on a Thursday. And now I've got a new level, which is Carry On Chatting, which we do you join in the Thursday live, but also it's going to be an extra live on Tuesday and some videos on there that you won't be able to get anywhere else but on there. I'm also going to get the emojis sorted out on there. So I think I have to have a certain number of members though, but anyway. You don't need to be bothered with that. So I hope you'll stay and watch. If I'm going to put on my videos about my books, I know a lot of you have already seen those. You won't want to watch them, but you might want to chat amongst yourselves while they're playing. But as always, take care of yourselves. Remember that you are the most important person, because if you don't look after yourself, you can't look after anybody else. And remember to live and love wisely. And until I see you again, may your God always be with you. Hola, soy Vicky. And are you wanting to learn Spanish? Have you been trying to learn Spanish and it's just you can't put the words together? Common thing that people say to me is, I know a lot of words, but I just can't put a sentence together. So I'm here to tell you how you can learn Spanish through English. Learn how to make sentences, not phrasebook Spanish. Learn how to ask questions, answer questions. Right from beginner or whatever level you are, if you're struggling in putting it all together, there'll be a level I can offer you a solution. So I've been teaching Spanish for over 20 years to English-speaking people. And these are the books that I have written. Break the Language Barrier Level 1 for beginners. Level 2 for intermediate or sort of pre-intermediate. Level 3 intermediate. Level 4 upper intermediate. And level 5 for advanced. There's really level 5 is to practice what you've already learned. So if you've already learned a lot of Spanish, but you want some practice with translations, conversation practice, games, etc., level 5 is for you. If you know more than level 1, in other words, you know how to already speak in the present tense, if your grammar has gone past the present tense but you're struggling with the past tenses, level 2 is the book for you. All these books are available on Amazon. Any Amazon, wherever you are in the world that you want to learn Spanish, you can order one of my books from Amazon. Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Did you ever want to know a little bit more about me and my background, how I came to become interested in true crime, how I ended up in Spain being a Spanish teacher? If you want to know a little bit about me, a little bit more about me as a person, you can find my book, Confessions of a Spanish Teacher, on any Amazon site, wherever you live in the world. And I believe that everyone has a story to tell, and this is my story. So it's the story of how I grew up in Manchester in the UK, on a council estate, and very humble beginnings, and my journey through personal tragedies, disastrous romances, and triumphs to become a single mum, a Spanish teacher, and an interpreter living in Spain, and eventually a YouTuber reporting on true crime. So it details my various experiences with people and places over 20 years. Of teaching over 20 years now. Ooh, where did that go? Of teaching Spanish and interpreting through the backdrop of the recession, financial uncertainty, severe flooding, and living through COVID. I hope you will find it funny, sad, amazing, silly, serious, and stranger than fiction at times. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope to make you angry at least once. I hope to make you cry at least twice, and I hope to make you laugh many, many times. So thank you for all your support on my YouTube channel, and if you want to know a little bit more about me as a person, then you can find out there. So